Did you ever watch Amanda Seyfried in The Dropout?
Oh, that's about that one
Elizabeth
real life
Holmes
lady.
and Theranos?
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I've been on a real Amanda Seyfried kick. I don't know. Ever since I just started talking to, I was at a funeral. Everything's okay. Everything's good. But it was a more religious family side of the family. And
Sure.
I was like, I don't know what to talk about. Let me talk about the only religion I know, the Shakers.
Wow, that's the only one. You couldn't even attempt like Catholicism or anything like that. You're just like,
No.
These people like to
Well,
dance.
they were asking, they were like, oh, what's a good movie? You know, because that's like So
they know you as like the
I was
movie.
like,
Yep, movie girl. Yep.
So I was like, well, I can't say any of like the weird stuff I've been watching. What if I just throw out The Testament of Anne Lee? And then that sent me down a whole. I watched Letters to Juliet with Amanda Seyfried the other day.
Okay.
And then I've been watching The Dropout.
Is that a mini series?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think
What's that on?
8 or 10. Hulu.
Yeah, Hulu and the Disney Plus are like ones that I have not been able to successfully mooch off people, unfortunately. So they just added Yeah, I was just saying they just added a bunch of movies. Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, the delay. We're like talking over each other. I'm so sorry. Let me just double check before we get too far. Yeah, I'm at region US East.
You're in the right
Discord.
region?
We should be fine. It might just be us talking over each other.
Bad internet.
Either way, Hulu, Disney Plus, getting a lot of good stuff. I got like Letterbox alerts me like when movies that are in my watch list land on a streaming service. So I saw a couple that dropped on there. So I was like, I got to get somehow access to that because I got kicked off my roommate Alex's HBO because it's his family's. And so like every time like I go on, they're like, hey, are you from here? And then so it sends like an email to his dad. And then so I eventually converted over to my friend Anna's HBO. And so far everything's fine there. But like the crackdown on this stuff is annoying. And so like I borrow someone's Peacock. I borrow somebody's Paramount Plus. I have Netflix. I pay for that. And then I don't have anybody's Disney or Hulu yet. So working on trying to procure some credentials there.
What came to Hulu that you wanted to watch?
Oh, goodness.
Because I just watched Predator Badlands. I've been really thriving at this dog sitting home that has Hulu.
Well, funny you mentioned Hulu Disney Plus. My Letterboxd didn't notify me. Apple TV did. But Apple TV just said, hey, guess what? The Secret Agent is now available on Disney Plus. Haven't seen it still, and the Oscars are almost here. So we're actually 2 weeks away as of this recording to the Oscars. So I know I got to watch that and maybe a couple other docs like The Perfect Neighbors on Netflix. That's a nominated documentary, so I want to check that out. And
are you doing the whole death race? Do you participate in that?
What? What is this?
The Oscar death race?
I've never heard of this. Please.
Oh, interesting. So it's every year people just try and see every single thing nominated. Like not obviously voting participants, but just regular people. And there's a whole subreddit that gets pushed to me every year where people talk about how where they are finding things and like they all keep track. And it's like a badge of honor if they're able to do it each year.
No, that won't be me. I applaud the people that are doing. I think for me, it really is like, can I see the nominated films for Best Picture, for Best International, all the like awards ones? But let's be honest, I'm probably not going to get around to Song Sung Blue. I'm sorry, Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman, but probably won't make it to that.
Brutal.
Animated feature. I think I just still need to see Arco. I don't know if I'm going to see that Demon Slayer movie. It just not my sauce. And then documentary, when it comes to like the cleanup on some of those categories, it's like which of these things like really appealed to me. Arco appeals to me from its art style and it being a neon joint. Documentary wise, it's just going to be whatever is like most readily accessible to me. So again, off the dome, The Perfect Neighbors on Netflix, that'll be like an easy watch. So I'm kind of going to just clean up. What's that one?
Alabama Solution on HBO, which you said you don't have anymore, but
well, I do have. I'm good.
Oh, you do have.
I got another person's account, and then until I get locked out again.
Yeah, Alabama Solution is about incarcerated men in Alabama, told primarily not primarily, but predominantly through cell phone footage that they shot inside the prisons.
Are they allowed to have cell phones in the prisons?
No.
Oh, wow.
The whole thing is kind of like an illegal...
Like a secret. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's really
that actually sounds really interesting. Especially with such a restrained sort of filmmaking style, kind of, ushers in thoughts about like, it was just an accident and the sort of like filming style and covert production of that.
Yeah, they talked a lot. I interviewed Paige Marcella, who's the editor, and she was like had a lot of conversations with the directing team about, do they want to use the cell phone footage? Do they want to reshoot it? Do they want to use animation? And then they came to the end decision, which I think is very much the right one. It's like, you're not going to get anything realer than these men choosing what they document, how they document it, their lives, their stories. And I feel like it's done quite well.
Damn. Okay. Wow. I didn't know that was... I don't remember, this was like weeks ago when we were going through the Oscar nominations and stuff. We probably, unfortunately, glossed over the documentary.
I think you skipped the documentaries because you don't like documentaries.
We spent an hour and a half that episode talking about the Oscars, and we somehow managed to sprint through like 7 categories because we wasted, quote unquote, a lot of time talking about like the big sort of conversation ones, and mainly us, complaining for 30 minutes about the shutout that is Ann Lee. So...
I love her.
It's all worth it, in my opinion. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of I Think You'll Hate This. This is episode 9. Before we get started, a bit of administration, sort of show notes at the top here of what we're going to do for this podcast moving forward. We actually have in the past been maintaining a fairly consistent week-over-week episode release. With this being episode 9, we did miss the past week. And it got us thinking, and given our schedules and both of our individual pursuits, bandwidth is kind of tight. So we're reverting back to a 2 times a month sort of bi-weekly cadence for these episodes. And in between those episode releases, when we have like a dead week when we're not releasing an episode, you're going to see a bit more frequent bonus features, which are basically our reviews. So like we did for Mercy and Send Help, when we see movies together, we will race home and hop on the horn and do an episode and review that movie in particular and get it out the door. That's kind of what we're going to do moving forward. We're going to see how that feels. And yeah, we're just going to go from there. It'll be a lot easier for both of us with a lot of the other things that we got going on. But don't want to stop the pod. Just want to restructure it a little bit. So
work-life balance.
Work-life balance, because, and also, yeah. It's mainly work. It's none of the other things that I'm currently cripplingly obsessed with, like Pokemon Fire Red. Surely I'm not obsessed with that. Oh, well, that's neither here nor there. I'm just falling down the rabbit hole of Pokemon these days, so it consumes my every waking thought. Let's get into the news real quick. We've got quite a lot to talk about on this episode. We're going to be very principled with our conversation here, and we will not labor and circle the drain on a lot of things. We will get straight to business. News-wise, I kind of wanted to shove 2 small little news stories together. The first one related to our darling Ann Lee again, because you mentioned Amanda Seyfried, and we there's never a podcast where we don't talk about her, so you might as well put an Amanda Seyfried sort of swear jar almost, in a way, where every time we mention her, we donate a quarter or something. This one is as of February 28th. This comes to us from World of Real. So, I mean, it's, I don't really know. I don't know why I said that. Like, it's like not an accredited, I was like, World of Real, who the hell are these guys? I don't mean to say that. Testament of Ann Lee apparently will have no physical media release. So Spotlight Pictures has revealed that the Testament of Ann Lee, Mona Fastvold's provocative and much debated, really?
By who?
I don't know by who. Much debated historical drama musical starring Amanda Seyfried will be available digitally starting March 10th. However, the announcement included a striking detail that has caught my attention, my being Jordan Rumi, who is the author of this piece. The film will be released solely via digital platforms with no plans for a physical media release, which is why the digital edition includes special features, including a making of documentary. Now, this guy goes on later to say he didn't particularly like Ann Lee, but so we're just going to stop the article there.
Yeah, we're done with him for now.
This
That's very depressing.
sucks. This sucks. They do mention in this article as well that another notable sort of Searchlight produced film, being Barbarian, was also a movie that was sort of caught in this Disney Fox Searchlight merger type cohabitating relationship, where that movie did not get a physical release as well. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. It might be producer Roy Lee, who also produced Barbarian, and he's a producer of some renown. He produced Weapons as well, so he's a Zach Kreger fan. He was on record on a podcast saying that he thinks that he heard that Barbarian is going to be a Criterion release at some point, because everybody's been bugging Zach Kreger about like the physical media release, and he's always been like, hey, I'm banging the drum just as much as you guys. Like, I'd love for that to happen. And so it might apparently get a Criterion release. We did just see recently that Netflix's Frankenstein and K-pop Demon Hunters will also be joining the Criterion Collection too. So, I mean, it's not like there's no precedent for these types of things of happening. So going back over to Ann Lee, first and foremost, disappointed to hear that it's only going to be available digital, but I can just sort of cross my fingers and pray and hope that hopefully soon, hopefully we won't have to wait too long, but I would love to see Criterion get a hold of this and put it out in a proper release so I can put it on my shelf. You're the resident Ann Lee sort of advocate here. You were the one that sort of got me, you know, you spread the gospel as it were to me. So what do you think of this?
See, I thought that if you brought up Amanda Seyfried, I thought we were going to talk about that clip with the interview where she like thought that her grandfather or her horse might be her grandfather's spirit. And I was stoked about that. But no, we don't get to do that.
I'm not too in the weeds following Amanda Seyfried as you. So
That's
I've
crazy.
missed out on all of these things. The Timothy Chalamet Foundation, all of it. Like, I'm just not, I'm not tuned in.
I love her. No, it's really depressing. It's just, I don't know. I don't see why people and studios are less interested in doing physical releases when there's such a growing demand for physical releases. I feel like you see it with records, you're starting to see it more with DVDs too, that people are just interested in owning and like having this legacy. And I have been approached by like a couple new cropping up distribution companies that are like trying to reinvent and break how things are going. And I think that that's great. And I wish that they would be able to then like take on a task like Ann Lee, because they are doing it from their hearts and with love and just genuinely want to put physical media out there and chock it full of the stuff that we want, as opposed to them, you know, big studios just slapping. Honestly, though, I would like at this point, I would just take a bare bones DVD Blu-ray version of it because I just want it. Yeah. But I don't like, in an ideal world, obviously I would want, you know, Mona Fastful doing an essay or something and all these other special features that just add to the text of Ann Lee. But at this point, I want to be able to own the things that I love, you know?
Well, the thing is that like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to be a Criterion release, but since it's not going through the normal, because they're, you know, up until like 5 or so years ago or whatever, every movie that came out normally got, and then here's the DVD and Blu-ray, and then DVD, Blu-ray and 4K release. And then as the years have gone by, it's slowly backed up. Some movies just get Blu-ray and nothing else. Some, for whatever reason, just get DVD or whatever. And so I think in the case of something like Ann Lee, it's going to be up to a Criterion, or it's going to be like a Shout Factory, like those sort of different companies that acquire movies and put out special releases with specialty boxes and sort of all the sort of accoutrement that comes with it. It won't, unfortunately, be just like part of the normal rollout post theatrical run. And that sucks, because it is cool to physically have it, because in the era of all these studios merging and buying each other out and closing, and we don't have time to get into it now, but it's looking like Paramount's buying Warner Brothers. And so
I can't do that today.
you own the quote unquote movies on your Apple TV or whatever. But what happens if I own a Paramount movie on Apple TV and for whatever reason Paramount's like, hey, that movie, that Warner Brothers movie that's on there, we don't want it there, we want it on this platform, so we're going to revoke the license with Apple, and it's gone. Whereas I can just go to my shelf above me and some of my movies are up there, my Criterion's up there, and I can always go there and give it. And so, and you can give it to a friend. Like, I love handing people like movies and letting them borrow it, like exchanging books and stuff. It's like, I want to go back to that. But let's get into the actual meat and potatoes here. We have some movies to discuss. Do you want to do our reviews and kind of recap of Slamdance first, or do you want to do South by?
Let's do
Slamdance. It's fresher on the head. Slamdance. We did it. We talked about it. We sure did. We previewed it, and we also watched a number of movies.
How many did you end up watching?
I got through, I believe, 5, which is just under the amount that I wanted to do. I had envisioned doing 6, couldn't get around to the 6th one, but I'm proud of what I watched, and I'm ultimately the time spent. My sort of review of Slamdance, if I could sort of summarize it here, is that...
I'm curious, your first experience of Slamdance, how do you feel about it as a festival?
Genuinely impressed. I think I said that to you after I watched like the first movie or two. Super impressed. Honestly, the batting average of the movies that I saw for Slamdance outranked everything I saw. Well, not everything I saw at Sundance, but every movie that I watched at Slamdance, I was like, damn, okay, cool. That was good. Versus some of the ones I watched at Sundance Online, I was like, that's okay. Yeah, everything here, I was agree. Like, wow, very impressed.
Yeah. So what were your 5?
All right. So I started with 10 Will. That one was about the guy that is on an odyssey trying to get to the police station to register in time as a sex offender.
Yes. And you said the ending was interesting, so I would like to come back to that once you list all your 5.
And then I watched BRB.
Yes.
And then I watched A Story About You.
Okay.
And then Danny Is My Boyfriend.
Yeah, same.
And then I followed it up and finished with Tony Odyssey.
Nice.
What about you?
So for features, I did The Plan, Danny Is My Boyfriend, BRB. What is this one? Nope, that's a short. Clovers, The Bulldogs, Kings of Venice, and Brailled It. And then for shorts, I did Climate Control, Domestic Demon, Dyspepsia by Salty Biscuits, a movie called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Murphy's Ranch, Monkey Bar, and Staring Contest.
Wow. So how many in total is that, if you know?
No, and Letterboxd isn't telling me, so
okay, no
unclear.
Worries. Yeah, I mean, again, coming into this as somebody that's never done this before, like I definitely understand the appeal. I think also what's kind of exhilarating about it, and maybe what made me super impressed, is just knowing that a lot of these folks are, and I say this with 100% respect, amateurs, like emerging new filmmakers, cutting their teeth, making their first features or whatever, or maybe their second feature, getting into Slamdance. And the caliber of craftsmanship, the caliber of just sheer entertainment, because again, it's movies. It's like, I'm here to be entertained. I'm here to be taken on a story. I'm here to be thrilled. And I was. And again, I didn't necessarily get a lot of that with some of the Sundance online movies that I saw. And granted, if I'm not mistaken, everything at Slamdance was available online. Is that true? Or
primarily? I think a couple features weren't, but I think primarily they were.
Whereas for Sundance, the list of online features continues to diminish year over year, in my opinion. Not necessarily in terms of quality, but I mean like quite literally quantity. Yeah. Like they've shrunk it post-COVID era. So yeah,
You talking about people, it's their first feature. Danny Is My Boyfriend as a wholly improvised piece of work is so crazy. And I loved it. I was on that weird wavelength the whole way through. I was losing it.
So let's start there then, because you brought up Danny's My Boyfriend. Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I think I was thinking about this before we started recording. I would say the thing that maybe kept it from being something that like I wholly loved and could rave about is I do think it's a little long. it does feel like it would serve better as like a solid like 60 minutes of like a television show or some long sort of YouTube short. I say this with love. It started for me to lose a little bit of the steam of like, and we're still kind of on this sort of revenge plot. We're still kind of like meandering and sort of like a pinball going from different like area to area. But I found the two leads absolutely delightful and funny and endearing.
So
and
funny.
obviously they both wrote it, improvised it, and directed it together. Their chemistry's great. You could just totally tell the rapport of everybody that was working on it absolutely knows each other and loves doing this and had a great time with it. The dogs, what a great performance from dogs.
So the dog belongs to what's her name? The brunette. Michi
or whatever. Yeah.
That's her dog. And the dog was supposed to have like a larger role in the whole third act, but then they were worried that the dog was not enjoying itself. So they cut the dog from the third act. But the dog was great. To me, I think it's one of those movies where if you are on it and like whatever is happening, then it is a perfect length, which is how I felt. I was just so tuned in to just the weird dryness of them. And I think that for me, it was the perfect length. I think it is very much like it's a comedy. So it's like whether or not you're wholly vibing with it, that like you're happy with how long it goes. But for me, I thought it was just so dumb and so silly. And it reminded me of Broad City, which is a show that I loved.
I was literally just thinking about that. I pulled it up on Letterboxd. Danny's my boyfriend, and just the two actresses there, just looking at them. And then I was thinking about the scene where they're, what is it? Is it like the LA Ravine or just like the...
that's the LA River.
The LA River. Yes, right. Of course, because there's nothing in there. And they're just kind of like shooting the shit and like talking. I can't remember what they were talking about in that scene, but I was remembering that. I conjured that image of them down there kind of like talking and walking back and forth and sort of like, pantomiming together. And it made me think of Broad City in that moment, just reflecting on it. So I think that's an apt comparison for sure. It feels like Broad City in an LA low budget.
And like when they first meet and they're when they're just talking about the dog, we're like, how do you know Paul Wall? The dog?
Yeah.
Paul Wall, the dog? But Danny's my boyfriend. That back and forth.
Yes.
Those
are the best.
Oh man, it was so good. I really love dry, dumb humor like that.
Yeah.
But like exquisitely done. So for me, this was a home run.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think for my sensibilities, I think it could have been trimmed a little bit to keep it tighter because I did find myself wandering in my mind of like thinking of other things to do. And then it would bring me back in with another great bit or a funny line. So definitely a recommend for me. If you ever find yourself in front of this movie, definitely check it out. I think they are super funny. The both of them, Lucy Sandler and Mechi Lekatos. I'm so good with the names, man.
So I want to hear about 10 Will now.
Sure. Let's do 10 Will real quick. 10 Will, like I said, is a complicated movie when you think about the subject matter, is a movie about a man who was recently released as a convict who tears through the streets of LA, colliding with everyone in his path in a desperate attempt to register on time as a sex offender. The movie is shot incredibly well. And it uses, to my knowledge at least, I mean, there's a very small cast list on the Letterboxd. So it tells me that a lot of the people that this character interacts with on the streets are like actual people. And you feel that in a lot of areas. And there's some really funny side characters that he runs into in a desperate attempt for him to try to convince them to help repair his van or at least drive him across town to get to the police station so he can register on time. And so there's a lot of fun sort of really far away shots that just like slowly zoom in and we're just watching the action. And I like a lot of those. The camera pans back and forth as characters are yelling and then another character comes in and it feels very like tense and claustrophobic and people are getting up in each other's faces and yelling and the guy's just like, I'm just trying to go do this. And a lot of overlapping conversation and the camera and the editing amplifies a lot of like the anxiety and the frenetic nature of it. So I found it utterly compelling to watch. a lot safty in my opinion. That was actually one of the things that I thought of while watching it, and I was like, do I say that, because that's immediately going to turn Tina off? But it was a lot of safty in that style. Mm-hmm.
I like the energy of safety movies, but I don't like how they do it.
Okay. Fair. So maybe you would like this.
Yeah.
And so it does a couple, it bobs and weaves in a couple areas. There is a sort of other character that this guy is communicating with via letters, sending letters from jail, I suppose. And he goes to like reunite with this person that he was communicating with, someone that like he's in love with or whatever. And, you know, the whole time you're like, what is this? He's a convicted, you know, sex offender. Like, is this like, has he been sort of communicating via letters and chat rooms with like a minor? And this is like, this is scary and like bad. And he ends up encountering this person, and it's a full adult. And the relationship there kind of balloons, and it gets really complicated, and it reaches to this point of them getting engaged, and it's this whole affair. And the father is just like this older man that's super not about it. And the woman in question.
One day?
It's one day. Yeah. It's wild. And it's this older woman who's a little obese and on with a cane and walker or whatever, but like around the same age and stuff. And that escalates, and I kind of want to spoil the ending a little bit. So just because it was the one thing that I texted you and was like, that's where it was just like, interesting. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this, but from now on, I'm going to kind of segue into a little bit of spoilers real quick. So if you don't want to know what happens in 10 Will and you find yourself able to watch it and it sounds interesting, go ahead and skip like 2 minutes ahead. I'll be very quick with this. I did like the movie overall, pending kind of the murky, odd feeling that the movie leaves you in your mouth after watching it. So would recommend. The ending of the movie, so he gets engaged to this girl or whatever, and the father ends up finding out that he's a registered sex offender, and they had already invited everybody over. It actually takes place over the course of like 2 days, I think, because he stays the night with them, because she like calls up all her family and has like an impromptu engagement party. They all come over, they're having dinner or whatever, and then he finds out that he's a registered sex offender, and then everybody turns on him except the girl that's like engaged to him, because she's like, no, he's fine, he's recovered. And then they all basically like yell and push him out of the house or whatever. And so he's walking with a dog that he at some point got for or whatever reason, and he walks to a park. And there's kids playing or whatever. And a girl walks up to him and he's like, oh, can I pet your dog? He's like, yeah, for sure. And then she pets the dog or whatever. And he's like, hey, I've got more dogs over here if you want to come. And she's like, okay. And then he like walks away, and like the camera like pans out of the park, and they're just like walking together away from the park, and then the credits roll.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I have heard of like back in the MTV days of my youth of like people getting arrested and like falling on this list because he's 18 and she's 17, and like the parents are vindictive. And so I figured it was going to go like
something like that
sort of path, or like someone being drunk and like he's like peeing, but it's like by an elementary school. And like because of that, like
you get caught up in that.
I don't like that ending.
Written and directed by Max DeFalco. So yeah, I agree. That was one of the first immediate thoughts I had when the movie rolled credits, where I was like, because it said written and directed by Max DeFalco, I was like, what are you trying to say here, Max? Like, not only what are you trying to say, but like, what do you want me to feel about this? Because like, what a huge 180 that you just did right there at the end. And like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm left with like such a weird feeling in my stomach.
Like what the Q&A after the fact was.
Yeah.
At the festival. I'd be very curious to hear about that.
Yeah. Genuinely. So definitely would encourage further investigation in terms of just understanding more about like what the thought process there was, like what was the intent, what were we supposed to get as an audience, because again, I left watching the movie feeling quite weird about everything that I just watched. So, but it's a really, really well made movie, and the performances are great. So yeah, just maybe stop right when he walks towards a park. What else? Do we want to talk about BRB?
Yeah, we can make BRB our last little chat from Slamdance. I love BRB. It's two sisters going on a road trip because their parents are out of town, and they both are trying to meet. Or one's trying to get back together with a boyfriend who dumped her, and the other is meeting her internet boyfriend in the beautiful days of dial-up. It's Man, the two of them, like that sisterly relationship, they captured
So well.
extraordinarily well. The
Mhm.
bickering on top of each other and the way that it just all flips in a second once there's like a bigger problem that they have
Yeah.
to conquer. They're like suddenly best friends and they love each other again. I just adored the chemistry between the two of them, and I thought it was just a really compelling coming of age story for both of them in a kind of silly but sweet and also sad way.
Yeah, I completely agree. As somebody that grew up with three sisters, I like that sort of dynamic and the way that they interact with each other. It brought back memories
Spot
of
on.
living in a household with them, and it's their chemistry's great. They're so wonderful in this movie. Both of them, never seen them before. They the journey they go on is, like you said, very sweet and endearing. There was a moment when, because if you don't know, the younger girl in the sister relationship, it has been chatting with someone on an online chat room, and they both share a love for this sort of like, what would you
It's
describe
like
it?
a One Tree Hill. One Tree
Yes,
Hill,
like
the OC sort of
Yep.
thing. Yeah.
television show, very dramatic, and so they're in chat rooms chatting about it, really hyped about it, talking about the characters and stuff. And she finds out that he lives in Chicago, I believe, somewhere in
Yeah.
Illinois, and
Yeah.
her older sister's like, well, our parents left us here for like the week because they're going on a cruise. Let's go meet him. Whatever, like you've
Yeah.
never dated anyone before, and like you have this cute little relationship, like let's go find out who this is. And there's a little bit of like, who the hell is this guy online, so like let's go together or whatever. And that journey is like, has its ups and downs, as like a classic road trip movie might. It's so funny that they like drove a large distance with a window broken in. I thought that was
It was
just
like a fully busted car. That
Fully
is just
busted
like
car.
the dumbest thing that they could do. But also, like, you're 15 and 18. She's, I think, the older sister's 18.
Yeah.
So they're dumb as hell. But they're just so endearingly dumb together. I love them.
locking their keys in the car is like, everybody's been there before. So like I absolutely and what's funny about that is that it not only is it like, oh man, I locked my keys in my car, but when they discover that they locked their keys in the car is in a moment of urgency, right? They're trying to get out of a particular place and they have to act quick or whatever. They're like, oh shit, I locked my keys in the car or whatever. Oh, and then they're like, boom, let's just break the window and let's keep going.
Because isn't the guinea pig in the car too?
I think that's it too.
Yeah.
I think that's it too. So they were freaking out. They're like, she can't breathe or whatever, the hot air and stuff. So I think that was such a well orchestrated scene, and it's just another wonderful moment to showcase these two characters. But one of the things that I really enjoyed about it was kind of twofold. Was one, when you first initially meet the character that they are driving to Chicago for, and the kid, the guy,
Yeah.
I thought that, like, before the rest of like the movie proceeds, when the main girl that is there to meet him sees him and he doesn't recognize her yet, but he's sitting there and he's like in a nice little tie and he's got like flowers for her and he's like just patiently, sort of anxiously sitting there waiting. And I was just like, that's so cute. Like,
Same.
yeah. It's just a young kid, and the movie didn't decide to do any like weird thing with it. The movie's just very genuine. It's genuine and it's heartfelt and earnest. And that moment, my heart softened. I was like, oh, this is so cute. And then she runs away, and you're like, oh no. And then the rest of the movie transpires, and where that character and him end up, heartbreaking, but also completely understandable and real. The decision that he makes and her talking to him and how that relationship ends up going, I thought 100% tracked with the film's logic and all the events that took place. And it didn't necessarily give you like that out of like oh, well, everything's fine, we can just continue or whatever. Like, it all felt real. And I love that.
Yeah. And I also love that they had the whole secondary, I guess it's probably tertiary at this point, of the parents' relationship, and how that, like, how they sprinkled little bits of it throughout, and like, what the girls had figured out on their own, and then like the few instances where you saw the parents interacting together. But I thought it was really interesting of, here are three, I guess technically four relationships. You have three romantic relationships unfolding, but then the fourth is the relationship between the sisters, and I thought they balanced it all extraordinarily well. This was like an instant coming of age classic for me. I loved it. All right, shall we pivot to our next film festival?
I think we should. South by Southwest.
Austin,
Here it
Texas.
comes.
Here we go. Coming fast and furious, I'll be honest. A little too fast for me at the moment, but that's fine. I will be attending for most of the run of the festival. And yeah, I pretty much have my schedule mapped out. I've seen 33 movies. So
Over the course of how many days?
well, a couple I'm going to pre-screen. So
Okay.
it's going to be slightly more normal because South by Southwest doesn't start their film screenings till 11:30. So I can't go insane like I do at TIFF that starts stuff at 8 a.m. So
That's fair.
yeah, I can pretty much only fit 3 to 4 movies in a day.
That seems about right. And that's
Yeah.
probably good for you. Let's dive in. You have a list here.
Yes.
South by Southwest, like you said, takes place in Austin. It's happening in just about a week or two. And you'll be on the ground. What are you looking forward to?
Sir.
Let's kind of go, with time being what it is. Let's go with like the ones that you're most looking forward to. If you want to shout out some of the ones that you've already seen, I don't know if you can, but whatever you'd like to do.
I don't think I technically can, but I would say a short film because I really do believe in short films and like checking out short films. Eructation, which is just a really, really fancy word for burp. And it is a short little beautifully stylized documentary about a woman's pursuit of the world record of burping. And I highly, highly recommend it.
That's really fascinating. I'm looking at it right here on and reading it on Letterboxd. Is it a full doc or is it a short?
No, I think it's about 8 minutes.
An 8-minute short?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. What?
Yeah, I want to say. I think it's 8 minutes, maybe 10. No, 6. I was wrong. 6.
Well, it does say a little documentary. So that's true. I guess
I should give it away. Yeah, but I really recommend looking at short films. I think that they're really important parts of the festival, and I really would say definitely check out Eructation for sure. I've already talked about Forbidden Fruits. It's confirmed. I've got a ticket to Forbidden Fruits. We're seeing it. Don't worry. Hokum is one that you're very excited about.
Yes.
So I'm curious to see how that's going to unfold for me. We also got go ahead.
I was going to say, did you got a ticket for it? So you're going to Hokum?
Yes, these are everything that's on my list right now is confirmed.
Are confirmed.
Yes.
Just because I want to put myself there mentally, do you know what theater you're going to be at for Hokum?
If you give me a moment, where did we get Hokum? I think it's Draft House. I didn't get the premiere of it because I was like, I'm not trying for that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm at Alamo 5.
South Lamar, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're all at South Lamar.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've got a couple at the Paramount. Just not that one.
It looked like a movie that I would love to see at the Paramount, but that's probably where the premiere is. So.
Yeah, and I knew that like when things would open, I was like, "There's not a chance that I'm getting." Everybody's going to be trying for Hokum. I feel like because it is such a horror-ish festival. I feel like very much genre. Another one I'm very excited for is See You When I See You, which played at Sundance.
Sundance, correct.
In this home, we love Cooper Raiff, and
yes.
Jay Duplass is doing it, directing it.
Hell yeah, Jay Duplass.
Hell yeah. Speaking of him, he is also, I believe, he helped write. No, Mark did, and Jay produced. So I think it's Mark's daughter, Aura Duplass.
Yes.
Is in a movie called Their Town, which I was talking to somebody who worked on it, and she described it as a Teenage Before Sunset. So I was like, okay, sold.
Whoa.
Get me into this movie. So I'm very excited about Their Town. It's about this girl, she's in high school. Her boyfriend unexpectedly drops out of the high school play, so she's forced to help outlier Matt step into the role opposite of her. Over the course of a long night wandering the small town, the two examine their futures and unearth surprises from their past. So it's like before sunset, but everybody's from the same hometown. So I'm very intrigued by that one.
That's a great elevator pitch.
Yeah. As soon as she said that, I was like, okay, yeah. So I'm going to need to go see that. Another one that I'm excited about is a documentary called Amazing Live Sea Monkeys, which is about sea monkeys?
Not particularly. I'm not aware of them.
Okay. The toy. They're not real. I mean, they are.
They're toys?
Some people, wait. They're like a pet, but like they're not really a pet. My mom just called them like bits of dust because I deeply wanted sea monkeys as a child.
Is it the stuff I'm seeing on Amazon? What is this?
I would imagine.
Is it this thing?
No. Where are you? Yes. Yeah. So yeah, you have the zoo. And then you have to put the water purifier in, and then you have the live sea monkeys, and then the third package is the food, and then you feed them, and then they grow.
Okay.
So
and what is this?
Apparently, the guy who created the sea monkey toy has passed away, and his still living wife is trying to gain control of ownership of the Sea Monkeys company, because some corporate mean people, I guess, stole it from underneath her husband. But then also apparently her husband's got like some dark secrets. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by it as someone who desperately wanted sea monkeys as a child.
As somebody that does not know anything about sea monkeys, I don't recall this ever. I think just the idea of a documentary about a woman trying to wrestle control of the Amazing Live Sea Monkeys corporate entity. I think that as something that like you go and talk to a kid these days and be like, do you know what the sea monkey things is? They'd be like, what? If you go to a Target or a store and be like, show me where the sea monkey things are, they're not here. So this isn't necessarily like Play-Doh, which is still persistent. So I like how niche it is and very like of its time.
Right.
And I think that that's very appealing.
It's not of its time. I can literally buy a sea monkeys right now.
On Amazon, sure, but like you can buy everything on Amazon.
It's an ideal first pet. You can learn responsibility without the mess.
That's a goldfish. You're talking about a goldfish.
Okay, so my sea monkeys never hatched. They never became like the actual things that like you see in that picture. They were just
I'm convinced they never do.
Well, I'll see the documentary and then I'll let you know. What else are we excited for? Anything from my list that you recognize that you're interested in?
Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on it because I think we called it out on Sundance, but just a plug that Leviticus, can't wait for that. Neon Joint, so that'll be cool. You said you got into it, yeah? You're going to see it?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
That one is confirmed.
I'm curious.
I was shocked.
Yeah, that's probably another Alamo one as well. I am looking forward to Monitor, a social media monitor.
Yes.
A social media moderator, unleashes a deadly terror when she refuses to publish a cryptic video. You know what's funny is I've been doing a lot of thinking recently about A24's Undertone because I got a ticket for a Dolby early screening of it on the 9th of this month because for whatever reason, the AMC that literally I could walk outside of my apartment and walk to it, we have a Dolby theater and they're not going to show Undertone. They're not showing it at my local AMC in the early screening Dolby. So I have to drive 30 minutes north in Ohio. But even then, when it does formally release, it's not getting a Dolby release. It's just going to get standard theater. So considering it's a movie that's very much predicated on the auditory sort of experience, I want to see it in a Dolby. And so this movie Monitor feels like a fun companion piece to that in some respects because it's about, you know, the digital era and hauntings and cryptic videos and stuff like that. So you're going to be checking it out. So very excited to hear what you think.
It reminded me of a movie I saw at South by Southwest last year called American Sweatshop with Lily Reinhart.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm. It was the ending didn't work for me, but I thought up until that point I really enjoyed it because it's a very similar story of it's not Facebook, but it is Facebook. Okay. And so she is just looking at all these videos of things that people have flagged and she has to say yes or no to keep it on the site. and one of them is this very disturbing snuff film, she thinks.
Okay.
And she just keeps like running into roadblocks of wanting to like see who did this, where it is, and then the company being like, well, that's not really our problem. And so I think I really enjoyed it, and I felt like this was a similar idea. And I think that the people who are looking at these, who are moderating, it's a brutal job. Like, I'm not talking about like moderators on Reddit who are like in control of the Oscars death race subreddit. They're fine.
Yeah. No,
they're fine.
I think that's because I had American Sweatshop on my watch list, and I think it popped up as like, hey, it's available to watch on one of these streaming things. So I've been endeavoring to check it out. But the way that you describe it and then compare it to this monitor feels more so than Undertone. It feels like a more sort of paranormal horror version of American Sweatshop, whereas American Sweatshop feels like it's dealing with very real world horrors and evil, with like the snuff film and her trying to find out like where did this come from, who made this, like how can we like hold these people responsible, and to your point, them saying like, hey, that's not our role, just like swipe it aside and like don't post it or whatever. But like she feels a responsibility to try to help invoke some sort of justice here. And then this one, it's more like publish a spooky video that might curse you.
Yeah. So I'm very curious where that one is. And the last one that I will and it is from a short film. The guys who directed it made a short film that I think was quite that
did you check it
people
out?
Really enjoyed. I haven't yet. I was gonna kind of just see the feature first, and then maybe check out the short. But the last one that I want to shout out is Summer 2000, the Etc. story, which is a documentary about these 4 girls who were just like dumb in the early 2000s and made an album of like girl pop album that they put on the internet in the early 2000s. And then it became a cult hit on social media like recently. So it's like the girls coming back together talking about this bizarre story of their fame and their album that, you know, they had fully forgotten about.
That's incredible. I immediately added that to my watch list. That sounds super fun. I also saw on your list as well, and sorry, my dog is howling in her sleep. Manhood. I read like the first line of that, and I was like, holy crap, I want to add that to my list.
Okay, so Manhood is the one that I have not gotten. Like, I'm trying to get a screener for it because I can't make any of the screenings work. But boy, do I want to see Manhood. It looks crazy. It's a Texas businessman strives to make penis enlargement as common as Botox. And along the way, an OnlyFans star and a father of 5 put their bodies and their insecurities on the line. And this is a documentary. And I think it's really interesting I think that people should be having more conversations about masculinity and what it means. Yeah. And I think that this is kind of a way that will get people to watch it because it is a flashy, weird concept. But then also I'm hoping that it will be introspective and talk about kind of why the state of the world is how it is and how that relates to masculinity.
Yeah. And just beauty in terms of like why we do these things to our body and like to what extent we do it to sort of stay young and like meet these arbitrary standards of what beauty means. So I didn't know it was a documentary. It is the substance for the boys. Oh no, not. Yeah, there's nothing in here that screamed to me that this was a documentary, so that's cool to know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there it is.
We're going to make you a fan of documentaries by the end of this, Nick.
Have you seen Blackfish?
Of course I've seen Blackfish. It's my deepest terror. I hate Blackfish, but I've seen it like 20 times.
Good Lord.
All right.
Well,
I think it's an exciting, interesting, kind of weird timing for South by Southwest. I feel like a lot of the buzzier stuff is not premiering here because of the lateness of the Oscars. So I think it's kind of opened up the submissions for kind of more indie-ish films, you know? I feel like that has, because people aren't trying to premiere stuff because the Oscars are smack dab in the middle of the festival. It's kind of a strange little year.
Yeah. I think that there's a solid lineup there. I think that there's not enough surprise sort of new releases for my liking, I suppose, in terms of stuff that we didn't know was coming. So I'm going to be curious with the list that you have. What are some of the more outliers that aren't getting a lot of, like, you know, the neon treatment, or, hey, this is coming from a big studio like Ready or Not 2, for instance, and kind of seek out some of those smaller ones and see where they end up popping. Like See You When I See You, the J. Duplass, Cooper Raiff one, like that one out of the gate is an exciting one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on as the year goes on. And hopefully it gets a distribution and release and doesn't just get thrown somewhere. So it's going to be exciting. I'm jealous. I hope that someday soon here in the future,
this time next year,
finally go back to Austin, where I went to school, and finally participate in South by in a very meaningful way. So looking forward to 2027, hopefully. But we'll stay in touch, Tina, while you're down there. I want to hear about where you're eating, all that jazz. And
I can tell you that I'm going to be eating at the Royal Blue Grocery and at the Alamo Draft House.
Yes.
That's pretty much all that I have time for.
Royal Blue Grocery, yep. Oh, man, I remember that place. Good times.
Yeah. Those little breakfast burritos they have are incredible.
Well, that is our episode, ladies and gentlemen, episode 9 of I Think You'll Hate This. Thank you guys for watching and listening, wherever you may be watching or listening. YouTube, all the streaming services for podcasts, all of it. We thank you. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're following the podcast. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook, and Twitter, and all that jazz. All the links are in the description below. Like I said, just reiterating, we're going to be switching to a bi-weekly, sort of twice-a-month model, so expect maybe more delayed episodes. But like I said, we're going to be releasing more social clips. We'll be releasing more reviews so that we're staying up on the latest releases. And you know what? Also, some of the podcast episodes, I've been thinking we might start doing more evergreen-style discussions, things that aren't necessarily time-gated. A couple examples could be us running through some of our Criterion Collection releases that we have and kind of shooting the shit about that, talking about what are maybe our top 4 Netflix original movies. Like maybe we'll comb through the archives and be like, what are the real good ones that you guys should seek out? Certain categories like that and discussion topics that we can do that doesn't necessarily time gate us to a particular, like, hey, we have to get the news out or else this is old news. So
yeah, but we will be back for The Bride.
Yes, we'll be back for The Bride for sure. A couple other movies that I'm looking forward to. I'm seeing Dolly. I'm seeing Hoppers. I missed my screening yesterday because I slept in. But gonna be checking those movies out. And again, they may be reviews with just me, just kind of talking to the camera by myself. They may be reviews Tina and I do together. So we're gonna keep the void of the episodes that we aren't doing on those off weeks filled with more reviews and discussions on the latest releasing. So be looking forward to that. And with that, I don't know. What do we say? Go watch a movie or something?
Go watch a movie. Go watch The Bride. And
go watch The Bride and pray it's good. Support Jessie Buckley, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Are you seeing it in IMAX?
Yes.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I need to see it all in its big glory. And
yeah,
we'll see this time. Here we go. I don't know.
I'm so nervous.
We'll check it out and stay tuned for that review and the next episode of I Think You'll Hate This. Until then,
go see a movie.
Go see a movie and maybe go see The Bride.